Hi, this is Kathy from Ladies Stamp-A-Lot. Today I wanted to show you how to make this card. It's called a bench card. It'll stand up on your table like this, and it looks like there's a little table here, and it actually folds up and then folds over, lies flat. You can fit it into an envelope and mail it. This is a little bit larger than our normal size envelope. This is a 5 by 7. You can find envelopes like that, or you can make one yourself very easily. But I'm going to show you today how to make the mechanism for this kind of a card. And it's really not that hard. It takes a little bit of measurement and a little bit of thinking. Okay, so you're going to start with a piece of cardstock. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer. And I am going to put, this is 8.5 by 11. I'm going to put it in the trimmer this way. So this is the 11 running this way. 8.5 is this way. And I am going to cut it at 5 inches. Okay, so let me slide it over here. And I'm going to cut that at 5 inches. And now we're going to turn it and cut it down to 10 inches. So we need a piece of cardstock 5 by 10. We basically just cut an inch off there. All right, then I'm going to go ahead and score this. So we're going to use our scoring blade and start with 1 3/4. And then 3 1/4, 6 3/4, and the last one is 8 1/4. All right. So 1 3/4, 3 1/4, 6 3/4, 8 1/4, and I'll have that on my blog in case I misspoke. Now we're going to take the piece that we cut off, and we're going to cut this to 5 1/2, and cut, and then we're going to turn and cut it at 1 3/4 and cut. So now we have a piece 1 3/4 by 5 1/2. This is going to be the little support piece for our bench. So we're going to score 1 inch on each end. So here I'm just going to slide over to the 1 inch mark here and score. And then I'm going to slide this here to the 1 inch mark and score. All right, let me set that aside. So here we're going to fold on the score line. And I don't know where my bone folder is, so I'm just going to have to be really careful. Maybe it'll show up there. So that's going to be our little support piece for the bench. Our card has 2 score marks from either end. We're going to go in 1, 2, the second one, fold it in and rub that. And then this one is going to fold back. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Fold this in. And then this is folded back. Now let me just show you a few things so you can check if you make this to see that you have it correct. When this is closed, you'll have about a 1/2 inch gap in between the 2 folded pieces in the front. And on the back, the front panel will fold, hang over about a 1/2 inch. Okay, so if you get to that point and you think you did something wrong, you didn't. That's the way it should be. All right, so this is our card, how it's going to sit up. And then this is going to be a support piece. It's going to go in like this so that bench can just like lay on there and doesn't flap down. So I'm going to just turn it flat on my table to work. This way it sort of looks like a little table. I'm going to be putting glue on the ends here. And the flaps are going to get glued to this panel right here. So here is going to be one. Here is going to be the other. This edge of the support piece is going to get right into that score mark, and the bottom pieces will be flush. All right, let's see if that'll explain itself better when I actually do it. So I'm going to put the liquid glue on the flaps. Again, liquid glue is the best glue to use when you have a card with moving pieces, because it will adhere really well and stay put. It won't come apart as easily as it would with some other kind of adhesives. All right, so I'm going to put this glued piece up against this panel piece right into that score, the folded part, and then this is going to be against the bottom. Another thing what's nice about the liquid glue is that we can slide it right into place. All right, so that goes there, and then this goes on the other side into that score up against the panel and flush to the bottom. And we'll hold that there till it dries a little bit. Okay. Now, while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and put a, I like to put little clothespins to hold it in place, because you can see that already pulled off there. So let me go ahead and put little clothespins there. And you'll see that it's a little ½ an inch away from the front of the card, because that is touching the back of the card. And I hope that is easy to understand. All right, let me set that aside to dry. I'm going to bring in my paper trimmer again and a piece of white, Whisper White, thick cardstock. This is measured 3 1/4 by 7. So this is thick, and I'm going to put it into the paper trimmer at 1 1/2 inches, like this. And the first thing I'm going to do is score along that 1 1/2 inches. Now I'm going to take my cutting blade, and I'm going to use this ruler here along the edge of the paper. You can see my paper is 7 inches, so the 7 is right there. I'm going to take my cutting blade, and I'm going to cut to 5 1/4. So you can see there's a little notch there on your handle here, and I'm going to slide it down to 5 1/4. And I'm going to stop, I'm going to lift it up, keep my card right where it is, and slide this to the bottom. And I'm going to cut up to 1 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to open it up again. There's a cut here, 1 3/4, and a cut here, 1 3/4. Now I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to slide it in at 1 3/4 this way. Okay. And I'm going to cut, and I'm just going to use my eyeballs and cut to that other score line. So this needs to go as far as to where I cut. And then I can lift that up and just take it out. And if I messed up there, which I did a little bit, it's okay, because the decoration's gonna cover it. Now we're gonna slide this over to 5 1/4. And I'm moving my cutting blade up here again. And I'm just going to not worry about the numbers. I'm just going to cut to where I cut before. So here I can see where I cut, and that's where I'm going to stop there. And I cut out that piece. And when I first started, I scored there, so there's a score mark there to make the bench. All right, so there's your bench, and then these are the pieces that are going to get glued to the front of the card. I hope this is easy for you to understand. Okay, so there's the bench, and that basically is going to go in between, and these get glued to the front. All right, so again, I'm going to use my liquid glue because this card will get moved around with opening and closing. So I am going to, and I like to put it on the white piece so that I don't get too much glue. If I put it on here, you don't know where it ends. So I'm going to put some glue here. I guess I should sit in here. And going to tuck that in, and this is another nice thing where I can wiggle it around. We want to keep this the edges here and here even, so that white piece is going on, and I'm going to take this and move it over to here now. Right now this is going to come over here. The white piece and the cardstock card are going to meet here and here. Okay, and then there's your bench. So that's just going to sit. It doesn't get glued down or anything. All right, let's see. So this, you take your fingers down here to push your card up. So you want this to come up, and then it'll collapse and fold down. So you'll want to work this out after you glue it and make it, to make sure it all looks nice and smooth. If I had my bone folder, it would be a lot better, but I don't know where it is, sorry. Okay, and so then that goes like that. And that's basically it. Again, I made it so that this is 7 by 5, and I wanted this to be big enough for my cake stand and the cake to fit on there. All right. If you have any questions, just shoot me a message and I'll try to answer them. The correct dimensions and the cutting measurements and things will be on my blog. And I hope you'll give this a try. And thanks for stopping by.